So you think you're ready for OLL. Let's make sure you're in the right place. You can solve a cube, you know the beginner method, you've already watched my Intro to Cross and Intro to F2L videos, and you can use those techniques to solve F2L in less than 3 minutes. Hopefully a lot less. If your answer is no to any of these, no worries, check the links in the description to get caught up. Now it's time to learn OLL. OLL means orienting last layer. So our goal is to complete the yellow side. Let's talk about the cool move. The cool move is RU, RU, but notice the last two RUs are counterclockwise. So that's the right and top going clockwise, and then the right and top going counterclockwise. The cool move can also be clock, clock, counter, counter. So if you just say, okay, starting with the right, and then to top, right, top, then it is clock, clock, counter, counter. We just did the exact same moves, it's just a different way of saying it. Pause the video and memorize the cool move. If you have it memorized, then let's continue. If I'm going too fast or too slow, don't worry. Use the settings of YouTube and you can speed up or slow down the video. Let's first solve the yellow cross. The goal is to have a yellow plus shape on top of the cube. Look at the pattern on top. It will be one of these 3 situations: line, boomerang, or dot. Here are the solving patterns for each one. However, at first glance, you may think these are hard to memorize, but look a little closer. Notice that the cool move is inside each one. Since we already have the cool move memorized, we don't have to memorize it again. So let's rewrite these solving patterns using a symbol to represent the cool move. Now we have a lot less to memorize, but it gets even easier. The line scenario is simply the front moving clockwise, then the cool move, and then the front moving back where it started. The boomerang is simply the front 2 layers moving clockwise, then the cool move, and then the same 2 front layers moving back where it started. Then there's the dot. It looks hard, but let's look again. Let's take the moves from the line scenario and move them down to the dot. Now let's take the boomerang moves and add them also. That's it. The moves for the dot are simply the line and the boomerang combined. Pause the video and memorize these 3 solution patterns. I'm using a training cube for this video so we can focus on the yellow layer. I'll be showing full examples at the end of the video using a normal cube. If you want any cube that's in the video, check the links in the description. This is the line scenario. Make sure the line is horizontal like this. And then we do those moves, which is just F, the cool move, and then a counter F. Front is going clockwise. Then we do the cool move, which is just the right side clockwise, the top clockwise, the right side counterclockwise, and the top counterclockwise. And then we move that front that we moved earlier, we move it back. And we solved the yellow cross. So here's the boomerang, like that. It's not always that obvious. Sometimes it looks like this or something similar, and it kind of hides in there. But when you see the boomerang, you're going to move it over here where it's pointing towards you and to the right. And then we do those boomerang moves, which is simply taking the front 2 layers like this, then moving them clockwise. So they're off to the side, and then we just do the cool move and then bring those back. So let's do that. The cool move is right side is clockwise, top is clockwise, right side is counterclockwise, top is counterclockwise, and then we move those back, these 2, just like that. Look at that, we've got the yellow cross. So this is the dot scenario, and it won't always look like this. Sometimes you'll get some yellow scattered on top with the dot, but if it looks more like the dot than the boomerang or the line, then it's the dot. So what do? We do the moves for the line and the boomerang combined. So the moves for the line is we move this front clockwise, then we do the cool move, which is R, U, and then a counter R, U. Then we move that front back where it was. Then we do the moves for the boomerang, which is the 2 fronts going clockwise, and then the cool move, which is R, U, and then counter, R, U. Then we move those two fronts back where they were. And there is the yellow cross. Now that we've figured out the yellow cross, we're going to solve the yellow corners to complete the yellow side. There are two methods below. Feel free to use the chapters to jump to the one you want to learn about. The simple method has only one pattern to memorize, but it's not as fast because you may have to loop through the pattern more than once. The direct method has 7 patterns. It will take more time to practice and memorize, but you will eventually end up with a faster time. Let's start with the simple method. This is the same method I teach in my beginner video. Pause the video and memorize this. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. When you have it memorized, let's continue. The simple method is all about the pattern on top of the cube. These are the 4 patterns you will run into. The good news is that all of these use clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. Only thing you have to remember is which way to orient the cube. The crab. You position so the crab food is on the front left like this. The fish points bottom left. The turtle, you turn to face you like this. The clean plus, you turn so that 2 dots on the side are facing left. What do we do with the clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter? We apply it to a pattern of right, top, just act like it goes on forever. You always start with the right, go to the top, and then just keeps repeating. So it's clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. If you see this shape on top of the cube, that is the crab. And this is his mouth, and there's going to be a piece of fish food or crab food right here. But there's not, which means we have this wrong. So turn the top until we see that food. Now we know that this is his mouth, this is the food, and we are facing the right way. So we do those moves starting with the right and then top. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. There's the fish. It's already pointing bottom left. It's missing its fish food, which would go right here. So we'll just do the moves one more time, and then a time after that. Now you may think that's going to take really long, but if you get these moves down, clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter, this actually, you can get through this pretty quick. Of course, I'm going slow, so you can keep up if you're following along. And by the way, if I am going too fast, you can use the YouTube settings to speed up or slow down the video. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. Make sure the fish is pointing bottom left. There's the fish food. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. And then we finished the yellow side. This is what I call the clean plus because it's a plus shape. You could call it the clean cross if you want to. Make sure these 2 dots are off to the left. And then we do those moves, starting with the right and up. We do that over and over again. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. Now we are on, this is the fish. Make sure he's pointing bottom left. And sometimes he'll have this piece of fish food right here, and sometimes he won't. And that's okay. If there's no fish food, you just do the moves again. If you see the fish food, that means you're just one move away from solving the yellow side. So let's do it again. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. And that completes the yellow side. Okay, so this is the turtle, this is his shell, and this is his head. Make sure he's facing you. And then we do those same exact moves, starting with the right. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. And that gives us the fish. Make sure the fish is pointing bottom left. And notice there is no fish food here. So that's okay. Let's just do those moves again. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. Now we have the fish pointing bottom left. And look at that. Now we have the fish food, which means we're about to solve. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. And now the yellow side is solved. Now that we know how to solve using the simple method, let's move on to the direct method. The direct method, if you haven't memorized, will allow you to solve the yellow side quickly without multiple tries. Here are the scenarios you'll run into. Besides the fish patterns, the others are all about the yellow patterns on the side of the cube, not the top. Notice that some of these solving patterns are using the cool move. So let's replace it with the cool move symbol. Coming up, watch as I go through each scenario. After that, if you can go from a scrambled cube and complete the cross, F2L, and complete the yellow side all in less than 3 minutes, hopefully a lot less, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and go to the description and click on part 4. Real quick, to help you on your journey, get your very own Intro to CFOP cheat sheet. It's packed full of details, diagrams, and definitions to guide you through every step. Get your Intro to CFOP cheat sheet today. Link is in the description. When you see the fish with the fish food, when you're doing the direct method, it solves the same way as when we were doing the simple method, but we just write it a different way. This is right side clockwise, top goes clockwise, right side goes counter, top goes clockwise, right side clockwise, top flips, and then the right side goes counter. And the yellow side is solved. When you're using the direct method, if there's no fish food here for the fish, then this is the starving fish, and he swims away looking for food. So we have him up the top right. And then let's do his moves. Right, top flip, counter right, counter top, clock right, counter top, counter right. Yellow side is complete. Since we're doing the direct method, we don't look at the pattern on top. This would be the turtle with the simple method, but we ignore that and we just look at the side. Of course, if the top is a fish, we can still do that for the direct method. But since it's not, we look at the sides. What do we got here? We have a dot there, we have a dot there. That's about it. That is the rabbit. Rabbits have eyes on their sides, so we're calling this the rabbit. Now, when you get the rabbit where there's nothing else except for the rabbit, he's going to look left. So turn the rabbit left. So now the rabbit eyes are right here, looking toward the left. So let's do the moves for the rabbit eyes. We're going to move the right sides, these two right here. We're going to move them clockwise. Then we're going to take the top clockwise. The right side goes counter. The top goes counter. These two right sides come back to us, counter. And then we have the front going clockwise, the right side also going clockwise, and then the front counterclockwise. We completed the yellow side. When using the direct method, we don't care what's on top if it's not the fish. In the simple method, of course, this would be the turtle, but we ignore this since it's not the fish. We only look on the sides. Because if you look at the top, it's just going to deceive you because there's more than one scenario that can happen on the side. So just look at the side. We've got nothing here, nothing here. We've got 2 dots. That's all we have on the sides. This is the snake. When you get the snake by itself, all you have to do is move the snake eyes to the back. Now that they're in the back, we can do the moves for snake eyes. On the right side, we're going to do a flip. We completely flip that side. The bottom goes counterclockwise, which would be this way. The right side clockwise. Then the top, a flip. Right side counterclockwise. The bottom clockwise. The right side clockwise. The top flips. And then the right side clockwise. We solved the yellow side. When doing the direct method, we don't look at the top unless it's a fish. This is not a fish, so we look at the sides. This is snake eyes. He's looking right at us. And what do we have here? We've got the rabbit eyes. So you notice that the eyes are on the side. Those are the rabbit eyes. Okay, so we have snake eyes here. We've got rabbit eyes here. What do we do? Well, this is the rabbit and snake eyes move. Make sure that the rabbit eyes are on the right. So let's move them like this. Rabbit eyes on right, snake on left. Then we can do those moves. So we have, and again, there's cool moves in here, so it should make it a little easier. So we start with the two front layers like this, going clockwise. Then we do the cool move, which is the right side and the top go clockwise. And then the right side and top go counter, like this. Then we move those front layers back toward us again. Now we're moving on to where the front goes clockwise, and then we have the cool move again, which is the right and top clockwise, right and top, and then right and top counterclockwise. And then we take the front and move it back where it was. So we solved the yellow side. Using the direct method, we don't look at the top of the cube unless it's the fish. Since this isn't the fish, we look at the side. We see snake eyes here, and we see snake eyes here. That's it. So it's the double snake eyes move. But remember, the eyes should be in the front and in the back. So let's position the eyes in the front and the back, and then do the move, which is the front goes clockwise. And then look at that. Now we have the cool move times 3. Let's do it. So we go clockwise on the right and the top, counterclockwise on the right and the top. That was one of them. So clockwise on the right and the top, counterclockwise on the right and the top. And one more time, clockwise on the right and the top, and then counterclockwise on the right and the top. Okay, and now we just take the front and move it back, and then we completed the yellow side. So if you look here, we've got a dot here, dot there, and this is actually the ant. So we make sure the ant is looking to the left and toward us, just like this. There's his eyes, like that. He's looking that way. And then we do those ant moves. The front goes counterclockwise. Then the right side, both of these right sides go clockwise, just like this. Then the top goes clockwise. The right side counterclockwise. The top counterclockwise. The right side, those two right sides go counter, back toward us again. And then the front goes clockwise, and then the right clockwise. The yellow side is done. So we completed F2L. These sides are done. Let's look at the top side. What is this? This is the boomerang. Let's turn that to the right and toward us. A lot of people ask me if they can turn the entire cube to orient the top, and you can, sure. If it's like this, you can turn it to this, but it's a lot quicker to just turn the top. So this is toward us and to the right, and now this is ready to go. The moves are, we just move the front two layers clockwise, cool move, and then move them back. So let's do that. Now the cool move is clockwise R, U, and then counterclockwise R, U. Now let's move those front two layers back where we had them. Look at that, we have the yellow cross. And so let's do the direct method. So this is not the turtle from the simple method. For the direct method, we ignore the top since it's not a fish, and we look at the sides. What do we have here? On the side, nothing here, nothing here. Here we've got snake eyes, so those would go in the back. They're in the back. And if you're having trouble memorizing these moves, just pick one and memorize that. And then just keep on growing from there. In the meantime, get the cheat sheet. It's really handy. Okay, so let's do those moves. It is flipping the right side. The bottom goes clockwise. Then the right goes clockwise. The top is a flip. right side is counter, the bottom is clockwise, right side is also clockwise, the top is a flip, and then the right side clockwise. Okay, so in this example, we've already accomplished F2L. These sides are done, and we're on the yellow side. What do we see? This shape hidden in here is the boomerang. So we turn it toward us and to the right, just like that. Then the moves for the boomerang is turning the front two layers clockwise. Then we have the cool move, which is the right side and the top going clockwise. Then we have the right side and the top going counterclockwise. And then we move the front, those two front layers back where we had them. And then there is the yellow cross. What do we do now? For this next part, we identify what shape. This is the fish. So let's point him bottom left. And again, as an example, you could turn the entire cube, or we could have just flipped it from here to here. It does not matter, because when you're doing these moves, it's only affecting the top layer anyway. The bottom layers aren't affected, so it's irrelevant. So we have this fish, and I said bottom left, but actually that's not right, because it doesn't have the fish food. So this is the starving fish. So instead, he's going to swim away because he's starving, he's looking for food. And those moves are the right side clockwise, top flip, right side counterclockwise, top counter, right side clock, top counter, and the right side counter. Another example here, we've of course finished F2L, all the sides are complete, and now we're on the yellow side. We're looking at this pattern. What are we looking at? This is the line. So we turn that horizontally. And then remember the moves for the line. It's the simple ones where we simply turn the front. Do the cool move and then put the front back again. So let's do that. Front goes clockwise. Then we do the cool move, which is RU, RU, RU clockwise, and then counterclockwise, RU. Now we take the front and we move it back. And then we have the clean plus. So what do we do? Well, if we're going to do the simple method, we would do clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. For this time, we'll just do the simple one. We'll move the two dots over to the left, and then we'll do those moves, which is clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. And that brings us to the fish with the fish food. And we could solve that using the direct method or the simple method. Again, let's just do those moves again. Clock, clock, counter, clock, clock, flip, counter. If you can go from a scrambled cube and complete the cross, F2L, and complete the yellow side all in less than 3 minutes, hopefully a lot less, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and go to the description and click on part 4.
Being sad doesn't make you smart. It seems your heart just needs a fresh start.